I had a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm just going to double check. Make sure that she's working. All right, sounds good. Cool bananas. So, g'day, Ronald Osborne here, award-winning international business coach. Today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be discussing and answering questions that have been asked of me and asked of others. So I'm going to be going through, grabbing a list of questions, business questions, anything pertaining to marketing, sales, you name it, entrepreneurship, I'm answering it. And who am I? I'm an award-winning international business coach. So if you go over to ronaldosborne.org, my website, you're going to see tons of testimonials from business owners that I've helped around the world. I built my own multiple $1-million companies, and then I've helped others do the same. So that's me. That's how I'm qualified to answer these questions. And for those of you that want to be dramatic about actual academic influences, I have an MBA specializing in finance. So that's my highest level of education. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to answer these questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask away as the meeting goes on. But that's what we're going to do right now. So first one, are marketing jobs shrinking? Look, I think you're bananas if you honestly think that you're going to be able to stick around and just do like marketing as in the traditional sense that you were able to run a marketing job for any of your organizations, like let's again, SEO, search engine optimization, doing things like Google ads. I think a lot of the paid advertisement is still going to need individuals to pull the levers. But I think if you're in the corporate world and you're in marketing, you're in a lot of trouble, especially if you're at the junior level. If you're at the junior level, you're in trouble. I really do think you're in trouble. If I were in marketing and I was a noob just getting started out, I've come out of uni, left college, what I would suggest that you do is I would actually suggest that you get started with AI. And you try and essentially build yourself to be someone that is able to do the work of 3 people with AI. That's what I'd suggest you do if you're in the marketing space. Because I think if you try and do anything, just rely on what our previous generations have, you're in trouble. Ooh, that's a good one actually. I'm time stamping everything too, guys, as I go through. So, yeah, just give me a minute as I do that. What is your single biggest failure in marketing? All right, my biggest marketing failure would have to be when I didn't know how to do market research at the start. So, essentially, I was targeting individuals that were completely I can't even put it into words how big a mistake this was. Like I was targeting individuals that weren't ever going to convert for what I wanted them to buy. Like that was just the honest truth. I actually thought one of my first businesses after I went in, like after my telecommunications company, I started to build websites and mobile applications. And I can still remember I put $10,000 into the marketing side of it. And I got donuts, and this was back maybe 2015. 2015 it would have been, maybe 2014, and I got donuts. I was like, what's going on here? I just dropped 10 grand. The marketing team told me that this was going to work perfectly. And I saw through immediately. This is why I started to get involved in marketing, because I realized that marketing teams are stupid a lot of the time. If they sit there and they cannot tell you exactly who they're going after, you're going to be wasting a lot of money. So that's essentially what happened with me. I did not pay attention to the appropriate individuals, the personas that we should have been looking at. That's been my biggest one. Oh, here's a good one. Speak from personal experience here. Do content creators who talk on camera actually perform better? This is actually a really good one. Like, what's my 2 cents in this space? Look, I think if you're going to talk on camera, especially live like I am, there's definitely a little bit more credibility behind an individual there. I think when you start to see that just because they've set up the camera doesn't necessarily mean that they're better. Like, there's a lot of individuals out there that will wipe the floor with me. I'm not amazing at everything. That's the honest truth. However, I do think you've got to have a lot of guts to be able to stand on camera and say, this is what I believe, this is what I've seen work, because everything can be back-checked and tested, and held to account. Again, like, someone can sit there and go, Ronald Osborne didn't have a telecommunications company. Yeah, I did. Started out, its name was Double the Data. Its final name was Twex as we grew into a civil construction company. So these are the things. On the internet, it's good for weeding out liars, I think. I think the internet is good when you get on camera. Everything's recorded. So I do think that there's more. I trust someone more, because even if they are being manipulative, it's easy to go out there and verify, hey, what about this and what about that? It's very easy to do that. Here's another one. 5:55. What skills are the most in demand in marketing right now? Honestly, video content creators, any individuals that are really pumping that out, they're in demand. So like your video editors, they're definitely in demand right now. What for myself too, like obviously I'm standing here. You wouldn't think that a guy like myself would be doing live streams, and it's normally for like gamers, like boom, headshot. That's not me. So I do think like individuals that are working with video content are the ones that are really, really in demand right now. Ones that can add unique stuff to those profiles are definitely the ones in demand. But I think the ones least in demand are definitely SEO and are definitely affiliate marketers. Like affiliate marketing, if you're doing YouTube channel, okay, affiliate marketing is still relevant. But if you're to do anything on Google, it's dead. That's why I never got involved with it, because I always knew there was a time limit. There was always a time limit with it. This is actually a good question, because I see a lot of people getting bamboozled by this, and I want to give my 2 cents on this. Lead generation analysis cost. I'm just going to make sure this is still... Yeah, all right, good. Camera's working. I had a problem before where the sound wasn't coming through, so it's good. Just want to make sure. Lead generation cost analysis. This is a great question because, and I'll give you some context. Like there's a lot of videos out there right now of individuals using things like N8N. Look at this, scrapes this, does this, grabs from here, does this. And then you actually add up the cost of the API. Like I'm doing some videos on this soon, end of the year. Because I've worked out the actual cost of this lead generation process, and it is fucking enormous. Like you're talking to get a list of, it was about 500 semi-relevant individuals. You're talking, I was going to have to, it was, no, not going to have to, it was a face cost API, it was like $30, and it was like a couple of $100. Now, if I just go to someone who's already scraped all of this information and I buy that list, it's 10 times cheaper. So that's why I've created a marketing ROI calculator. Go over to Ronald Osborne, go to the website, okay? Go to my website, come here where it says the 15 free business checklists. Click on that and you're going to be able to go and there's an ROI calculator for marketing. Use that even for the lead generation analysis, because you're going to be able to use that and tie in how much it costs. Because honestly, a lot of this stuff is not good. It's not actually viable. Don't get bought into the hype of all of this nonsense. I really think a lot of these lead gen things that these people are doing on YouTube are absolute dog shit. I really do. I really do believe it. this is actually not a bad one. I'll give my 2 cents on this one. What one business mistake you had to make yourself before you finally believed the advice? There's two. There'd be, the first one was, and the most costly mistake I've ever had in my life was, don't ignore the hiring process. So I hired an individual that was meant to run the civil construction side of my company, my first company. And this individual was skilled in the area. He'd had his own business in this area. He'd had his own couple of employees in this area. And I thought, he's a mate of mine. I'll be able to get him in here. He'll be able to execute on this. Now, he had some personal troubles that I was with the Australian Army guys. I know a lot of people that had some personal troubles back home and they overcome them. And I really believe this individual would have been the same. Unfortunately, that was not the case. This individual went on to cost my business $130,000 in cash. That's what he cost me. If you total it all up in losses attributed to the mistakes he made, you're probably talking $250,000. That was like my biggest mistake, is I went away from, you need to follow a hiring process. And I didn't. I ignored it. And I said, no, this is unique. I need someone unique to handle this. And I screwed up. Like, I made a massive mistake. That was my biggest blunder. The second biggest one I would say is probably being too ambitious on businesses. So thinking that a company is going to be bigger than what it actually is. I've made this mistake. I've got 2 SaaS tools. One of the SaaS tools we launched, and I was really ambitious about that because it is a bloody good tool and it's gotten me awesome results. However, we weren't fast enough to market with it. We didn't get behind it enough to push it enough. We didn't spend enough money on it. To be honest, we did nothing really with it. We just left it on my YouTube. Hey, go and check out this tool. This is how I rank and beat all the best by using my tool. Now, in that regards, as everyone watching this video knows, I'm a God-fearing man. The tools in the SEO, local SEO space, are coming out extremely quickly. Okay, and things are changing, and I really think there's going to be a deflationary impact on tools. I really do. So how can I justify charging someone $100 a month when I set up Google Sheets, like you can see, free Google Sheets that scrape the internet, pull down competitor data, do all of this, and it costs you 10 cents? How is that? That's haram for me to charge someone $100. The days of that is just no longer around. It's honestly sinful in my eyes. So I don't think it's right. I do think that I was a little bit too... I wanted to be more aggressive. My business partners didn't. But that's just how it works. So some people, and that's where you can make mistakes with people. You can too. So yeah, my biggest mistake was definitely not listening to my own advice when it came to hiring, and then secondly, being too aggressive at the start of companies and not thinking more so about the longer term and to ensure that I'm aligned with what my business partners want. Oh, this is a good question. How do you get rid of the fear or constant worrying after you've started a new business? Ooh, I can still remember the days. Honest truth. So, soldier in the Australian Army, business owner afterwards, and have a guess when I had more sleepless nights. It was definitely as a business owner. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing else like it. It is very stressful. It can be very, very hard. I'm an individual. I don't like debt. I despise debt. So something for me that was very, very hard was getting comfortable with debt. Thankfully, even when I had just 14 vehicles alone, 3 of those vehicles were financed. The trucks, I owned all of my trucks and all of my excavators. The sucker trucks we had, all of this were owned outright. I didn't like that. And something that was very hard for me to overcome at the start was that worry of, shit, I've got all of this capital here. I have 30 employees that I always need to find work for. What happens if just one? What happens if the government says tomorrow, Ronnie, your services no longer required, brother. Yalla, get out of here. The biggest thing I would say is try to nail down the things that don't feed the rational part of your brain. So, as an example, if you're worried about the start, and I'll get some context from this individual, launched his new business, everything is ready, but essentially he's just really worried that it's going to fail. He's really worried that his mindset and his routines are not established enough to ensure success. For me, do address those concerns. Like, truly address those concerns. If you're anxious that your routines aren't sufficient, then find out what will make you win. It's that simple. Okay, if I have a business, if I've got a roofing company, what do I need to do to be successful at this roofing company? I need to do good work, and then I need to get leads in. Okay, first thing, how do I do good work? I should have a Q&A checklist. I need to make sure that I'm doing things of a standard superior than my competitor. How do I do that? Just keep breaking things down. If you break them down, that's again what I loved about the army. They break things down in such a manner it's always easily digestible. Do the same. If you sit back and go, shit, how do I make this big? I've got to do all this. I've got to find leads. I've got to build a roof. Like, that's retarded. Don't do that. Break things down. That's the biggest thing. And then honestly, be comfortable with sitting in the muck, sitting in the unknown. It is scary. It is really scary, especially when you're responsible. Like, if you were to attribute all of the employees and stuff that I help now, you're talking maybe 200. That's a lot of people to be worried about putting food on the table for them. So that is something to be aware of. This is a good one. Creating a commission contract. All right, so we've got a woodworker here, and he's looking for individuals to work in the sales side of it, and he wants to pay him a commission. Now, I'll give you a few tips around this. This is good because we've got the actual business type, so I can give you tailored tips on what I would do with this. Now, if I'm a wood construction company, like I'm doing woodwork, maybe doing epoxy tables, will you run with epoxy tables? He hasn't said what it is, but woodworking, let's just say epoxy tables. So let's just say we're looking at $1,000 an epoxy table. We know it's probably $3,000 to $5,000, but let's just say $1,000. The way I would try to structure the deals is if he's looking to get someone on full time, that's probably going to be unrealistic with how much volume he can create. Okay. So I would suggest that he's going to need someone part-time, and he's going to want, because it's going to require someone to be around less, unless he's looking to grow a big organization, have multiple people making multiple tables. The scale there isn't really there to have an organization where it's quite large. Like it's just non-existent. It's just not there. So for him, what I'd be suggesting is he should look for someone more so part-time to be able to do the workload he's looking after and incentivize them with an enormous commission. I would do it that way because you can't just offer someone something small. So again, we'll use the example of $1,000. Just use the example of $1,000. I'd be paying them for every table they're able to get me sold. Okay? That's the best way of doing it. If you can't find someone that wants to work on like a part-time basis, they need more full-time. And again, this individual for this organization, I think it's absolutely ludicrous to hire someone. You just want one person to sit down and go, I'll give you maybe $150 for every table you sell for me. That's what you want. Realistically, this individual, it's not like a roofer. If I was to have, as an example, one of the sales guys from the roofing company, I'm going to sit there and make sure that it's extremely enticing for them, but also rewarding for us. With this individual, you're not going to be able to hire someone full-time. Even part-time is going to be unrealistic. You might be able to do a couple of epoxy tables, like maybe 2 a week maximum. He's not really said anything more than woodworking. So these are the types of things that you've got to consider. But if you're going to need someone around less, make the commission extremely high, and normally a flat fee compared to a percentage, because if it's a flat fee, it's better for them to understand what could be made in their head. If you start doing percentages, that's not so enticing because it's unknown. So you've got limited volume of work for them, and then you've got unknowns. Don't combine those two things. That's a bad equation. No one likes that. Look how I said it. Limited time and a lot of unknowns. But if you can put a number on it, you sell X amount of tables, you're going to get X amount of money. That works a lot better for them. So they know. Now, percentage, I would not be introducing it unless I'm also a full-time or a part-time fixed basis. How to get more Google reviews. It's kind of a rant. He's in a home service business. Listen, he's struggling to get Google reviews. Biggest thing I would say with Google reviews, and I made a YouTube video about this on the Ronald Osborne YouTube video. It even has like transcripts that you can plug in with your text automation system. The biggest thing is you need to entice that individual. You have to. Biggest thing I would say is you've got to entice them. What I would be saying is, as an example, if he's in the home service, I'm going to do it like this. This is how I'd walk through. We just finished the roof for Susan, okay? Walking up to Susan. Susan, are you happy with this roof we've done? Ronnie, it's fantastic. It's beautiful. I love it. Look at the beautiful shine. Look at the lean you've put on. Oh, it's wonderful. It's amazing. It's fantastic. You really love it that much, Susan. Beautiful roof. It's a beautiful roof, Ron. Susan, I want to capture the emotion you've got right now. And can you help me do that? You can. What we need to do, Susan, is I need you to just leave a Google review on our business profile, because if I've been able to make you feel this good about your roof, this good, this positive, this safe in your own home, I need you to let others know that we can do this for them. Because it might be your friend, Susan, it might be a family member, Susan, that's looking for a roofer, and they're going to see your review, and then they're going to trust us, and they're going to trust everything else. They're the ways that you can go about it. You've got to make it relatable to them. You've got to make it meaningful and impactful for them. Otherwise, sometimes what happens is you'll find a lot of individuals will, when they come up for reviews and ask for reviews, it'd be good if you could leave us a review, mate. And you're like, okay, that's cool and all, but why? Oh, it helps our business out. See how I didn't make it about me? I made it about helping others, and others that Susan would know. That's how you want to do it. Now, I don't suggest that another thing that you shouldn't be doing. It appears my stream has frozen for some reason. That's actually very interesting. It says streaming, but I can see that my face is frozen.
I need you to listen to me right now.
I'm just checking, guys. Just checking, making sure that this stream's working. I'm new to streaming. Yeah, that's weird that's weird. My face is frozen on the stream. But I can see that I'm streaming. All right, boss. Sorry, guys. But yeah, in that scenario, you can entice individuals that you've worked with in the past. Now, you're not allowed to, okay? This is a no-no, doing review gift cards and these types of things. You shouldn't be doing that. You can get in trouble for that. Don't do it. Another thing that I would say that's really positive for your businesses and that you actually want to be doing when it comes to trying to get reviews is do not put the stuff down on the bottom of the invoices. People associate, when you see an invoice, are you happy? You want to associate an invoices with pain. Don't associate your invoices with pain. That's not a good thing to be doing. So I would strongly suggest what you need to do is you ask them when they're on site. That's the only time you do it. You try and rev up those emotions. And the other thing you can do too is to protect yourself from mass emails. As an example, if you send that out, make sure that you have a little bit of protection, not review gating, of course, that's illegal, but a little bit of protection to stop you from getting any maybe negative reviews or 3-star reviews that you didn't think you would hit. Business partner is ready to give up. And I'll give you some context. They're in the aviation industry. They've been working at it since February. A very competitive space and yet to make any sales. Business partner's checked out and he's classifying this as a failed business. However, this individual is still looking to get it going.
The topic about which I've been asked to speak
Ooh, that's
tonight is
interesting.
The making of an investment banker.
I've got
And
something playing somewhere, which is very strange. The topic of an investment banker is playing for some reason. Look, in this situation, what would I do? I would say you've got two options, mate. Like, honestly, you need to sit down with your business partner and like really clarify on what direction you want it to go. And if he's mentally checked out, as you're saying here, I personally would not keep it going. Unless you're willing to do the load yourself. You've been running it since February. If you're yet to have any sales, that's not normally a good sign. I'm assuming you've burnt through a lot of capital as well, to make this happen. Look, it's hard to do things alone. And if you're a part of a team and half of that team has given up, it's not always the best thing to keep it going. And if you don't think you can do it yourself, it might be time to walk away. I don't like pushing people into the corners. If they sit there and go, dude, I'm done, I'll try and get a little bit more out of them if I believe in it. But after that, alas, that's it. Ooh. I think I answered this one actually the other day, but this is a good one to. I just want to bring up my stream so I can get my time. 20. What do you think will be the first real-world job humanoid robots will handle at scale? I can guarantee you that humanoid robots will probably take over the logistic industry. Why do I believe that? Look, I believe that because of a couple of things. I do honestly believe that they're going to overtake it because if you think about it realistically, how difficult would it be to train a humanoid robot to clean a house? Not that hard, but still hard. Why? Because no two things are the same. You know what I mean? Like even making the bed, it's of a different size. It's of a different size at a different angle in a different location. When it comes to the logistics industry, everything is very systematized and structured. So as an example, when a piece of steel is made, that steel is made, it is then loaded onto a truck then takes it to a warehouse, the warehouse takes it to a distribution warehouse, and from that distribution warehouse it's taken onto the job site and placed wherever it needs to be. Those moving parts are essentially always the same. They're essentially always the same. So they don't really move around too much, and it's actually going to be quite easy to program what needs to be done. I really do think that As it comes to the point where it's at scale, it'll be the logistic industry will be the first one that's hit by it, definitely. Some good questions. Seeking help with lead gen. All right. All right. So seeking help with lead generation. So 20 years over solving complex problems. Blah blah blah. What's his business? He's struggling right now at getting qualified leads. So he's working in the marketing space and the digital marketing space. Look, so if you're trying to generate leads for digital marketing, I think you need to set yourself apart by really, really squaring away with a unique pitch. Now, for myself, as an example, everyone knows here, I'm the founder of Osborne Digital Marketing. My claim to fame with Osborne Digital Marketing was I ranked for roofing SEO, plumbing SEO, orthopedic SEO, chiropractic SEO. Like I beat in America, not Australia, not the UK, not Europe. In America, I beat the biggest and the baddest SEOs out there that said they were the go-to guys for SEO. I beat them. So I was able to stand on here and go, look at this, guys. I smashed them. You want to work with an SEO that actually ranks for SEO terms? Consult me. I'll actually get you results because look at this. So that's the difference. I was able to set myself apart that way, and I think that that's what you need to do as well. I think if you're going to try and generate leads, you have to not just try and do what everyone else is doing. Like everyone out there is doing cold email, cold calling. Jeez, I'm getting my phone's ringing while I'm on this. I get multiple phone calls all the time, every day from, hey, you interested in this, mate? No, fuck off. All right, you sure? Could be a loss to your business. Mate, no, I don't want it. The thing is, you have to set yourself apart. You really, really do. And if you don't set yourself apart, like in a unique way, you're going to be in trouble. It's a good question. Strange, why did that do that? Okay, I'm trying to fix this thing and it's not doing it for me. Apologise, guys. I'm trying to do timestamps and it's not playing ball. There we go. How do small business owners actually find legit investors to help them expand? All right, I'll give my 2 cents on this. So we'll look at the context of this. Okay, so he's looking for international. He's targeting international individuals. That it's a travel company. He's not giving away more than that. He believes that this business can grow, and he believes that this is an industry where it's going to grow more and more. Look, if you're in the travel space, that's highly speculative. Honestly, like if COVID didn't teach you that, I'm sorry, mate, but you've got to be aware that we're living in times where there's literally new conflicts around the world popping off left, right, and centre. First thing. So, no, you're not in something that's actually safe and solid and continuously consistent. You need to put the kibosh on that, what you put in there. Everybody believes, I'll just bring you down to earth a little bit. Everybody believes that their fucking business will generate millions of dollars, or otherwise, why the fuck would we get up every morning, mate? Okay? I've got to bring you down to earth because this guy has tooted his own horn a little bit on what he believes compared to what he's actually doing. First thing is, look, when it comes to raising money, you've got obviously different ways of doing this in different countries. So I'll lay it out by the general concept and then I'll lay it out by region. So as an example for this individual, and I'll just talk generally speaking to actually getting like legit investors. What I would be saying is that the way you go about it is try to use friends and family at the start. And I know some people will be sitting there going, you can use friends and family. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for my friends and family mainly. In my first business, I had like 5 immediate family members, a couple of cousins, that stuff in there. It was fantastic. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my younger brother. That's God's honest truth. So I think family can be a really good thing for your business. The way you can go about raising capital is done in a couple of different manners. I'll give you some points that you must stick to if you want to do this with friends or family. With this individual, he shouldn't be raising capital. I wouldn't touch this bloke with a 10-foot pole because there's no proof of concept at all. He's just sat there and gone, I've got $1 million idea. It's going to happen. Sorry, I'm shitting on him a little bit, but it's just sometimes a bit ridiculous. You've got to be brought back down to earth. Now, for this stuff, when you're looking to raise capital, there's one thing that you really need to focus on. First of all, if you are going in with friends and family, you need to have essentially what they can do with their voting shares. So if you're selling shares of the company, let's just say you're going to sell 30%, 30 shares, let's just say. You've got 100 shares in the business, you'll sell 30 to a family member friend. You need to have clear direction on what they can and can't do within the organization. So what they have say over and what they don't have say over. Because you might want to take the business in a direction, and even though they've got 30, like let's say 30 shares again, that's not really, you've got the majority. But if your organizational structure isn't structured to the majority, it must be a consensus, you're in trouble. If your articles of association say, doesn't matter if you got 5% of the business, we all have the same voting rights. As an example, you could be in trouble. And again, that can cause you problems later on. So what I would suggest that you do is make sure that essentially you've set it up where you know what they can and can't do, and they know what you can and can't do with the organizational structure. Super important. Second thing is payment terms. If you are going to go and get someone to do capital for you, give you capital, you need to set up a payment structure. They're there to make money. They're not necessarily going into the business because they just like it, they believe in it, they're bored. That's not normally how it works. They're there to make money. You need to be able to sit down and go, all right, Ronald, if you give me $50,000 for this business venture, this is how the payment terms are going to be structured, and this is what we're going to do. So you'll give me $50,000. Once we achieve X level of profitability, we're doing $10,000 a month in profitability, you're going to start receiving a dividend every quarter. That dividend will be a percentage of, and you go from there. The reason you need to have something set up like that is, do not involve an individual if they go, mate, I'll give you the money now, we'll just sort it out later. No. Even if they say that sounds really good, but I'm telling you, people will sit there 6 months down the line and go, bro, I gave you 50 grand 6 months ago. Like, are you going to give me $1,000, a couple of grand, like a couple of $100 at least? What the fuck's going on? Oh, they need to know. They need to know when the money's coming to them and under what circumstances the money's coming to them. Very, very important. The final structure would be exiting. You need to make sure that you have an appropriate structure of exiting the company. So as an example, I gave you that 50 grand. You know, you've done it for a little while. It's not going as well as I want. You're taking up a lot of my time. Maybe I've just had enough of it. I don't want to be involved anymore. So then I say, okay, I want out. You've got to buy me out. You've got to do this. You need to make sure that you have a system set up for that circumstance, okay, for the exit. Because if you don't, you're leaving yourself open to maybe having to pay out $40,000 from the business, and that could sink the company. as an example, or be sued, or any other possibility could happen. Do these 3 things, and I assure you it's more protection than just getting money, okay? Now, regionally speaking, let's talk about like VCs and things like this, venture capitalists. Getting money from a VC is not actually a hard thing to do. You just need to be squared away. And to be honest, most individuals in the VC space, the venture capital space, they look at the individual and not the business. They don't give a fuck about the business. They care about the person behind the business. And again, what do I mean by that? Well, you look at someone like me. They're going to be able to know, well, Ronald Osborne has been able to handle dealing with dozens and dozens of employees, dozens of stresses, building networks, building infrastructure around supporting the business growth. He's been able to not get enticed to just take money out when he's got hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in and out of his bank accounts every single month. You know, like once they start seeing that, they're a little bit more enticed. They're like, I would trust Ronald Osborne. But if you've got someone that's new to business and maybe you have never been able to handle your money well, that's something that they're going to frown upon negatively. And these dudes are sharks. They always do what's in their best interest, not in yours. You know, like I've seen some disgusting things happen to like some companies that weren't even ready to raise capital and should not have raised capital, have now lost 49% of their company to a VC. And like it was just such a stupid mistake. But she didn't know any better. That's just how it is. These guys are sharks. So always, before you do raise capital, you should speak with someone who, you know, you're able to pitch your idea off before you go and do this. And then if you go down the family path, you know, just be careful again. Make sure you set up those 3 principles I set forward. You've got to make sure, you know, the voting rights on the business. That's very important. So you can decide the direction. The third, the payment terms, and the third one is the exit. The second one is payment terms. Third one is the exit, how they can exit and what will happen upon exiting. And then with VCs, America is a fantastic place. The States is just sick when it comes to raising capital for businesses. Australia, Canada, UK, pretty dog shit, to be honest. Like it's a lot harder. Australia's a pain in the ass. As soon as you start being successful in Australia, they'll just hit you with every tax. I'll never forget it. Like every single stage I started to grow, you know, you're doing 500,000 all of a sudden, you're doing 1 million, you're doing 1.5, you're doing 2 million. And every single stage of tax man's just like, hey man, you're doing really well. Give me some more tax. It was just so retarded. So instead of being able to hire individuals and expand into different areas, it was like they kept suppressing you down. So Australia is a little bit different. And that's just something you need to be aware of. Honestly, stick to friends to begin with. I would honestly say, I know some people think that's crazy. They don't like mixing family and friends in business. I'm the opposite. If you've got a good friends and family, they're going to bleed for you. Blood is thicker than water. All right, should I focus on one business endeavor at a time? Yes, absolutely. Now, I would say if you're someone like myself, you know, like you've been around the block, you've had multiple companies, it starts to become a little bit easier over time. You become more experienced yourself. If you're young and you've never had a company, do not start multiple. I'm telling you here and now, please, please, please listen to me. Do not start multiple companies if you've never had one. Don't. I'm telling you, it's going to be a shit fight. Start one. If you're someone that also struggles with managing your time, managing yourself, you're not very disciplined, do not, for the love of God, start 2 as well. That's going to hurt you a lot. Don't start 3. I know some people seem to think that you can start 2 companies and they'll be synergistic in their relationships for one another. That's true to a point. So I'll give the example. You maybe want to do t-shirt designs. So you set up like t-shirt designs, and then you'll also, maybe you buy the printing shop where the t-shirts are done. That can be a synergistic, realistic partnership, but really that's one business. It's just like an offshoot of what you're doing. When I'm talking different businesses, let's say you've got a roofing company and then you've got a bookkeeping business. These 2 things are completely opposite. and they're going to have their own difficulties and their own challenges. Focus on one and then build from there, especially if you haven't done it before. It's super important. I can't be more real than that. Those who have run a successful business, or at least have found their way / balance in life of an entrepreneur. Do you guys work anytime and whenever you want, or do you remain active and work all weekday? Listen, for me, when I was young, I worked all the time. Like, I had no life. And I think if you really want to succeed and you're a younger bloke, you need to be working. Like, give up your 20s. Truly. Like, in this day and age, guys, it's only getting fucking harder. It's like all the boomers sit there and say, you've got more opportunity than ever before. Horse shit. They had all the time. Now, for us, it's only getting harder and harder and harder. So I'm telling you, if you're a younger bloke, work your ass off. Work your ass off in your 20s. Just give it up. I work 7 days a week all the time. I had no life when I was younger. But now that I'm 33 years old, I can retire. I get to live where I want. I don't have to sit there and be like, how do I pay my mortgage? I don't have a mortgage. You know, like, not to brag, I don't have a mortgage. I don't have rent. I don't have any of these basic things. Okay, I've got electricity bills and standard utility bills and good old Netflix as an example, but I don't have those big complications that everyone else has. So I think the way you can build balance is you've got to work really hard for a couple of years and then you'll find balance later on. I was always of the attitude, I need to be able to retire by the time I'm 30. I was always like, I have to have enough money in the bank where I don't need to work after 30. I don't need to work after 30. I want to work after 30. For me, I've got ADHD. I can't stop. I need to be doing something. I drive people insane when I just sit down. It's just who I am. So I think it's very important that if you are going to be trying to find that balance, like for me, you know, like this guy's written here that a lot of people are sitting there saying, oh, you got to find balance and all that. It's bullshit at the start, mate. You find balance once you've built it. When I was doing my MBA, I had, like, my company was at its biggest ever that it was. And I had no time. And I was, like I said, I was doing my MBA as well. That was brutal. I was waking up like 4 o'clock, going to the gym sometimes, and then coming home, doing my MBA, going to the office, still being at the office, like first thing in the warehouse, beating all the boys in, making sure that something like I love being there first, and then being last to leave. And it was just brutal. But I'm here now. So I think balance is bullshit when you're starting out. All right. Is a snow removal business profitable? Yeah, it can be very profitable. A snow removal business can be extremely profitable. What I would suggest, this is 21 from Indiana. He's looking at starting his lawn care and snow removal business. Look, if I were you, mate, what I would be doing is a couple of months before, start to run some ads for specifically snow removal. Now, I know some people are going to be like, but that's months before. Aren't we wasting money? No, not at all. You're building up a bit of a book. So when the first snow comes through, you're not like, oh shit, I need to turn on ads like everyone else. So then all of a sudden you're paying more for the ads. Get what I'm saying? Where you've already captured some leads. Because I guarantee you, individuals like myself, I don't like waiting until I can't get my car out of the driveway, then I go looking. So there will be individuals leading up that month before you start to hit winter. It can be something to do, is start advertising and build up a bit of a list. But yeah, it's definitely, any business can be profitable, mate, as long as you run it correctly. I'm answering this one because I like this one. How AI will change e-commerce operations in 2026. This is what I think is going to happen for e-commerce. Maybe not 2026, but I don't think she's going to be far away. I actually think it's going to get so hyper-personalized when I go on to, as an example, shop. You know, like maybe I'm looking to buy a blazer, another blazer. I go on to there, and instead of seeing some dude standing there like this, you know, like a twat, I'm going to see Ronald Osborne standing there like this, and Ronald Osborne looking sharp, and Ronald Osborne looking good. There is no more dude with hair, because I don't have hair. If I grow my hair out now, I look creepy. I've got to go shaved head. It looks sexier for me than having those thin where you can see through it. It's ugly. It's not good, guys. Guys, I'm telling you, if you're thinning, embrace it. Just shave it. It looks 1,000 times better. For me, if you can start to see that, I do think that that's the way it's going to go. I do think like e-commerce operation structures around like websites and how they're going to sell to people are going to change in that way. Now, some people argue and say, yeah, but you want the sexy model on there because that's going to entice you to be like, I want to look like him or her. That's more true to the women. Women are more influenced by that than men. Like, men are men. We don't really sit there and judge ourselves on attraction. Like, we don't really care. That's a good thing about being a man, is we get to earn and build ourselves compared to being how we are. So for me, I do believe that there's going to be something like that that's going to be super tailored. So instead of seeing individuals wear other random things, you're going to see a real Ronald Osborne, a picture of me on there wearing this coloured blazer and different coloured shirts. So I'll be able to go through and go, damn, like that suits my eyes really well. As an example, not to be dramatic, but as an example, that's honestly where I perceive the future will go for e-commerce. And I think if it doesn't, they're stupid. Because again, like, you want to see how you look. And I think that there's going to be a system that really makes that work. And I'd love to be a part. If there's anybody out there that can build that, I'm happy to help you try and implement that and build that SaaS product, because I do think that that's what's going to be the future. And I'm going to mark this down because I guarantee you I'll call it. All right. How do you manage professional relationships without a full CRM? On the Ronald Osborne YouTube channel, go to the free CRM. I make a free CRM in Google Sheets for you. It's super easy to use, super easy. Beautiful thing about Google Sheets is you can literally assess all of it. So you can see all of the information on Google Sheets, and you can set up triggers as well. So you can still do emailing and everything all within Google Sheets. You can track all of the spend. You can do all of this. It's fantastic. It's not something that's cumbersome. It's actually really good. I don't think, like, if you're a noob just starting out, don't go out there and buy like Pipedrive and all of this, like $99, $147 a month. Like, don't. It's a waste of funds. It truly is. It's truly not worth it. So if I were you, I'd be doing that. I'd be just setting up Google Sheets and run that way. Oh, that's a good one. It's a nice little question. How do I do it? I'll answer it right now. So I like these sorts of questions. Seeking advice. How do you track and manage freelancers who work for you? Okay, look, I'll give you what you can do, because there's a couple of softwares that you can use to track your team, but I don't do it that way. I have a software called Basic Ops. The team can like put in, hey, I spent 3 hours doing this. However, I don't work that way. Why don't I work that way? Because I have always found that it never is consistent. So what I would suggest that you do is, if you're going to track time of these individuals, err away from that and track results and performance and outcomes. So as an example, if we're doing blog creation. So we've got a client that wants a blog created. I know from going from our topical map, utilizing that data, taking that topical map, then creating the blog post, and then going across and basically uploading that onto the website, I know that takes 2 hours as an example. So during a day, they should be able to do 4 blog posts as an example. So if I sit there and go, okay, these are your duties and your obligations and what you need to do, this is your mission for today. Why are you billing me for 8 hours when I can see that there's been 3 blog posts go up? That is how you should tie down freelancers. You should break everything down into measurable chunks and go from there, compared to an hourly system, because you will, like, that's how it is manipulated, unfortunately, and that's how they manipulate a lot of people. This will be my final question. If there's no other questions in the chat, I'm going to call it. Okay, no questions there. Good. Alright, timestamp this. How do I make my existing coffee shop successful? It's a good question. So, as an example, when it comes to coffee shops, you've got to understand that it's not like a restaurant. I'm willing to go out of my way for a good, expensive restaurant to their location if they give me the best food. When you're talking coffee, a 7-Eleven $1 coffee can be amazing, you know. So you have to be realistic and understand what it is that you're actually selling. Something I would do is, let me give you a bit of example. I'm going to draw an example. If you're like off on, let's say, like a side street, okay. Let's say this is your coffee shop. This is where you are. And this is like a main drive where all other shops are. And this is, I've actually consulted with a lot of cafe owners and stuff like this. And I'll give you a nice little secret that will boost foot traffic by 10-15%. And then you can leave me a like on the video and just a nice cheeky comment saying thank you. And we're all square. So you can see where your coffee shop is. Maybe it's just on the corner. You go down a little laneway, whatever it may be. You're not on the main drag. What I suggest you do is these shops here, you start to build relationships with those individuals. Start to build relationships with them. And then start to put little signs out the front of their shops that direct foot traffic down. Okay, that's the first thing that you need to do. Build relationships, put signs, get foot traffic. Foot traffic will increase by 10 to 15%. I guarantee you 10 to 15% increase if you just do this. And that's not expensive at all. You've just built relationships, bring them free coffees. And I assure you, you're going to notice not a drastic, but 10 to 15% increase in traffic, because people walking past will know that you're there. The second thing you can do is try to make the experience a little bit unique. So what do I mean by that? So you can't go extravagant, but sometimes if you go to places that are like dessert places, you know, they'll come out and they'll bring out the hot sauce and they put like a chocolate egg over the top, and then they pour the hot sauce and it melts the chocolate and you're like, ooh, cool. Maybe you can do something like this, inexpensive, easy, but it's just like a little experience that's a little bit different. Something that someone can pull out their phone and record. Because, you know, if you can get women to record a lot more of that, get some blokes to record that as well. That's not me. I don't do that stuff. But if you can get someone to do that, the likelihood that you're going to entice maybe someone around the corner to see this and go, I want to try that, is a little bit higher. And you've got to offer great coffee too. If you have shit coffee, no one's coming back to you. It's all about that. You've got to make sure that you do good coffee. That's the main thing. All right, guys, if there's no more questions, I'm going to answer one more question. If you have any business questions, ask away. See a few of you's in the call, so ask any questions that you have. I'm going to try and find a nice, like, good question to finish on. It's actually informative, and then we'll call it a day. So ask any questions. Here we go. Yeah, we'll finish on this. I'll delete this. All right. We'll finish on this one. If no one puts any questions in the chat, then we'll go from there. All right. Should one have management experience to create a successful startup business? I will not promote. Like, obviously, that's a part in Reddit there. Listen, I think that's not true at all. I think the main thing you need to have when it comes to starting a successful business is just grit and vision. The biggest thing is people will follow you and fall into line. I myself, my management experience came from the Australian Army. That's where you yell at everyone compared to sitting there being like, oh, what's going on, mate? In Civvy Street, you need to have a real different approach. In the Army, we all love each other like immensely. Like, you would die for your brothers. There's no questions about that. But we hang shit on each other like you wouldn't believe. But it's different. You can't do it in Civvy Street. And I brought the Army world into that, and it wasn't good. It was not good. So I actually think sometimes having no management experience can be more beneficial for your business than anything else. But that's my 2 cents. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe, guys. I'll see you around again next week, and jump over to ronaldosborne.org, get those free checklists.